All right, welcome back to the channel. So, Terence Crawford responds to Jermell Charlo and says, "Don't make me show you a real lion," or something like that, man. So you got Terence Crawford talking smack to Jermell Charlo, clearly in response to what Jermell Charlo had to say about him and Errol Spence. Terence is tripping a little bit on this one. Let's talk about that in this video. All right, welcome back. So we are back talking about the 147 pound and the 154 pound division. You have Jermell Charlo, who is the 154 pound WBC champion. And personally, I think one of the best fighters in all of boxing. I have him well inside of my top 10 pound for pound, and I don't understand how other people do not see this dude's level of talent. Tremendous fighter, man. Just came off of getting his belt back against Tony Harrison in an exciting fight, man. Again, that was a difficult matchup for him. So in my opinion, Jermell Charlo proved that he's one of the great fighters out there, in boxing right now, one of the best fighters in boxing right now. And he is stablemates with Errol Spence Jr., another guy that is well known and widely considered to be one of the best pound for pound fighters in the world, fighting out of Dallas, Texas, with the same trainer as Jermell Charlo, Derek James. So, there's a lot of stuff going on back and forth about, Terence Crawford fighting Errol Spence Jr. at the 147 pound division. And Jermell Charlo was on Instagram Live and had somebody ask him whether or not he thought that Errol Spence Jr. was all the way back or not. And he says, of course, Errol Spence Jr. is all the way back from his injury. If you guys aren't familiar, you should be. Errol Spence Jr. had a car accident where his Ferrari flipped over a bunch of times. So there was a lot of concern about whether or not he was actually going to be able to come back and fight again. But, he wound up being okay from his accident, no serious injuries. And now he's supposed to be back, supposed to be back fighting. People asked Jermell Charlo what he thought about it. And Jermell was like, look, nobody's going to go back and fight if they're not all the way 100% right. This dude is, he's good. But in the midst of that conversation, he talked about he's like, Errol Spence Jr. is good, basically implying he's going to dominate these welterweights. And he mentioned Terence Crawford by name and said, all that y'all talking about Terence Crawford beating him, that's some shit. He's basically said that's some shit, right? So now Terence Crawford is coming back and trying to talk a little craziness to Jermell Charlo. Man, look, T-Bud Crawford, stop before you go too far, man. That ain't no fight between you and Jermell Charlo. I don't understand what he means by to be careful. I'm gonna show you what a real lion or whatever, man. Come on, man. I hope Terence Crawford is just doing that, just to have fun on the internet, just have fun on Twitter or whatever, or wherever he put it. I do believe that was on Twitter, though. I certainly hope he's just trying to have just trying to have fun with it, right? Because when he comes back and he says, hey, says something like that, it implies to me, what are you going to do? What do you mean by that? Do you mean that you're going to, don't mess with me? You might actually have to see me come fight you. That's not very, it's not very realistic to expect for Terence Crawford to go up to 154 pounds to fight Jermell Charlo. So I don't even get what he really meant by that. But let's play with it as if that's a possibility. Okay, let's go through that as if that's a possibility. Terence Crawford don't want no smoke with Jermell Charlo. Okay, now coming from 135, going to 140, going to 147, going to 154, you might as well stop that right there, dude. You might as well stop that right there. Jermell Charlo is every kind of bad matchup for Terence Crawford, man. Every type of bad matchup. They have the same, and I say that because they both have, somewhat similar personalities. They're both, with Jermell Charlo being significantly more aggressive though, but they're both boxer punchers, right? There's a lot of people that would say that Terence Crawford, should be ranked as far as a list of, boxers higher than Jermell Charlo. And I agree 100% with that, because I've got Terence Crawford as my number one guy. But you know what they say, man, size makes a difference. And there's a funny thing, man, because when we talk about this in a live stream, every once in a while about Terence Crawford. And obviously, we talk about, how Terence Crawford would do with, Manny Pacquiao. I don't think too many people at all really question what Errol Spence Jr. would do with Manny Pacquiao, other than, some very, very adamant fans out of the Philippines who believe that Manny Pacquiao could beat, that Manny Pacquiao could beat Deontay Wilder or beat Dillian White or beat, Andy Ruiz or Luis Ortiz, that type of fan for Manny Pacquiao. Nobody really believes that. I don't think a lot of people really seriously give Manny Pacquiao a chance to beat Terence Crawford. Then of course you hear about the Terence Crawford Errol Spence Jr. and that's a reasonable fight for people to say, hey, they're in the same weight class. But for me, with Errol Spence and Terence Crawford, I see pretty much the same thing that I see with Jermell Charlo. But whenever I mention that in live streams, people, even the people that are big time supporters of Terence Crawford are always like, I don't know. Because I bring this up when I talk about whether or not you think Errol Spence, Terence Crawford can beat Errol Spence. I'm like, look, man, do you really think, okay, you think he can beat Terence Crawford? Terence Crawford can beat Errol Spence, but do you believe that he can beat Jermell Charlo? Now, Jermell Charlo is a good inch taller than he might be like 5'9", pushing up on 5'10". He might be 5'10". Jermell, actually, man, he might be closer to 5'11". 5'11", he probably walks around somewhere around 165 pounds. The dude can box, the dude can punch. He's got fast hands. He's very, very aggressive. Whenever we talk about this, Terence Crawford fighting him, it's, most of the people in the comment section are like, no, the dude is going to get smashed. So, now Terence Crawford can do it. And I think that's a fight that can happen. You know what I mean? Like, if for some reason Terence Crawford can't get Errol Spence Jr. till 2021 and he can't get Manny Pacquiao, right? And he won't fight this other litany of people that are out there for Terence Crawford to fight. Hey, man, move up. Hey, tell Bob that's what you want to do. Tell Bob that's what you want to do, man. Tell him you want to move up to 154 pounds and show Jermell Charlo who the boss is, man. Bob Arum will immediately say, no, we're not going to do that, dog, because we're not going to set you out there to the wolves to Jermell Charlo. That is an absolute terrible matchup for Terence Crawford. And I don't even think that's a 60-40 fight. Just straight up. I don't even think that's a 60-40 fight unless he goes and finds, Martin Carefoot. Maybe if he goes to find Martin Carefoot and get some of that wild boar meat, he can pop up there to 154 pounds and do something to a dude that can easily be fighting at 160 pounds. Quite as kept, Jermell Charlo is one of the top 160 pounders, man. Ain't gonna happen, dude. Only thing slightly more crazy than that would be if Terence Crawford was talking about Jermell Charlo. In that case, man, it's just an absolute massacre waiting to happen. But it's all fun and good, man. It's all fun and good. I appreciate Terence Crawford. I appreciate Terence Crawford coming out and saying that, man, and showing, that, that he's listening to what people are saying and he's not going to take that line down from Jermell Charlo, calling him some shit, calling him some ish or whatever it was he was referring to. I can appreciate him doing that. But look, man, I would much prefer Terence Crawford to do this. If Errol Spence Jr. fight can't happen right now, and the Manny Pacquiao fight can't happen right now, try Sean Porter. If you can't fight Sean Porter, find Keith Thurman. Keith Thurman said he'll fight you. He said, you don't believe me, send the contract. I'll fight you. So if you can't get Sean Porter, get Keith Thurman, dude. If you can't get Keith Thurman, then get Kell Brook. Whatever the case is, fight somebody that would lead me to believe and to take Terence Crawford even a little bit serious about fighting Jermell Charlo, because as it is, that ain't Jeff Horn, man. That ain't Jeff Horn. That is not Jose Benavidez. That is not Amir Khan. That is not any of those guys, man. That's not Postal. That is not Thomas Delorme. That is a real deal tough. That's a real deal fighter. And quite honestly, man, he might be more difficult. He's probably just on paper a tougher fight for Terence Crawford than Errol Spence Jr. is. It's just a no-go for Terence Crawford, man. So that to me falls into the same category as Gervonta Davis talking smack to Terence Crawford. Like, man, you not about to fight Terence Crawford and beat Terence Crawford. You're going to get mopped, okay? That's not, same thing goes for Terence Crawford and Jermell Charlo. Anyway, it is what it is. You let me know what you think in the comment section. And with that, I'm out. Peace.